Hi, I'm Nick Holt, reporting from the AMNA conference in Detroit. I'm stood here with Murugan Boominathan, who's from Magna International. We've just come off a panel on upskilling and partnerships and enhancing production operations, looking at how you scale and transfer digital tools and bring along kind of workforce inclusion with that. Just want to pick up on a few of the conversations we've had on the stage, just taking it a little bit further. I mean, looking at how Magna operates, what are the strategies that you've employed to overcome like cultural or bureaucratic hurdles that often arise when you're trying to implement new technologies and processes across multiple, so you're dealing with multiple facilities as well. I mean, is it something you come across, and kind of how do you manage that?
Yeah, this is always the case, right? When we try to introduce new things, especially with things that is not introduced in the past, or the operation doesn't have any experience, they always come back and say, hey, I do have one thing that I'm doing today, what it's going to change tomorrow, right? The best way is to introduce the change slowly and in a constant pace. In other words, we have to do a small POC with the engaging team from the floor, try to engage them at the early stage so that they get experience with the tool, compare what the solution they have, how they are going to adapt the new one. So that way we lay down a path for them to adapt the change slowly and in a constant pace. That's the one thing. And then we also work with the other group leaderships to making sure adapting the change from one place to another, and then we can scale them in a effective way.
Yeah, I mean, another big sort of aspect of kind of this changing kind of workforce culture are cross-functional teams. We've spoken a lot about it at the event over the last couple of days. They sound great. There are some in operation at the minute, some more successful than others. I just wondered, what were the kind of, how do you kind of work across larger networks when you've got numerous small units that are very focused on particular tasks, and how do you ensure that you're getting an effective outcome from like a cross-functional team in that respect?
Yeah, this is a great question, because Magna as a company have several product lines which follow different processes at the floor. In that case, we always go and start with the process. What's the process which is going to drive the product line as an output? So we find all the processes first and accumulate them. Either we group them as a separate entity and make solutions for the processes, as opposed to, okay, you have some solution that you can take and deploy and use whatever the way you like to use it, right? Rather, okay, this is your process. For example, it could be a sequencing or batching. You identify the process and deploy the solution. This is one aspect. And then engaging the cross-functional team is another aspect. For example, the process can differ from materials to quality to production to shipping, right? All needs to be identified in an early stage so we can deploy a right template for the need for the customers. So that it's very important to identify process as well as which skill team is going to take which processes.
Yeah, because you've got quite a mixed bag of people, haven't we, from different disciplines that don't always want to kind of collaborate in that respect. So you kind of got to get that kind of recipe right, I suppose.
Correct.
To make sure that they're going to function properly. Just one last question. Kind of what are the this is something again we come across a lot, is kind of legacy IT systems. So I wonder what you see as the most important factors to consider when you're trying to unify those disparate data sets. Because I mean, this is another thing, lack of communication between data sets. It stops that assimilation, doesn't it, and dissemination. I mean, what are the sort of challenges that you come across when you're trying to sort of achieve like a cohesive digital transformation?
Yeah, so we are going through a large amount of digital transformation at this point. And like you said, we do have several set of legacy systems, which is currently working in a definite state, which we cannot just rip and replace.
Yeah.
So we have to carry them around. Whenever we look for a new investment, of course, we deploy, the greatest one in the plant. But if we have a legacy system, we always work with them, meaning that we have to at least have a pipeline where every system can connect.
Yeah.
This is one aspect. And then the secondary aspect is you have to make your data, especially the data model behind the systems, are not the same,
Yeah.
right? So we have to unify them structurally at some way.
Yeah.
Meaning that it could do the work, whatever the work or product they're producing at this point, they will keep doing the same way. But at the end of the day, all the data that is going to go to the upper level systems should be unified.
Yeah.
So that doesn't matter legacy system A versus B versus C or the newly launched upgraded system all talks in the same language, at least in a unified space at the site that you look.
Yeah.
So which is very important.
You see some manufacturers, I mean, Gestamp mentioned it earlier on, and I think Ford as well, that on a certain level, they're developing their own software platforms for certain smaller applications and operations around AI and things like that with apps. Is it something that Magna are working on, or do they have that in place already?
Yeah, our strategy is not stick to one or the other.
Yeah.
We always look for opportunity. It doesn't matter the applications come from in-house skills or from off-the-shelf or the one that we manage ourselves. Doesn't matter. As long as it solves the business purpose, we will still keep it.
Yeah.
As long as we have a pipeline to unify them, we'll just still carry it, because this is something that you cannot just throw it in the garbage and install a new CapEx for that,
Yeah.
right? You just have to carry them around. As long as it works, it's still worth the value.
Yeah. So it's interesting. So the digital transformation won't ever end, will it almost?
No.
I can't see it's one of those, it's an ongoing process. And similarly with the way that the staff, the teams, the experts and the operators within the factories are still going to evolve.
Yes.
So we're going to see an entirely different kind of worker, aren't we? I think in 10 years time maybe. But it's very interesting, as you mentioned, it's like the legacy systems, bridging those gaps, making everything work together in a cohesive way. Murugan, thank you very much for your time. It's been a pleasure to meet you. Thanks very much.
Nice talking to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.